KPSM arrests 2 suspects in connection with November shooting. Grisha Haliger Martin 2026 will be a year defined by Forward by Design. Since I've made this post, there have been a lot of positive comments. Haiti Carnival kicks off amid debate over security and politics. From the island, Sint Maarten, this is SXM Daily News for January 21st, 2026. The police force of Sint Maarten, KPSM, has arrested 2 individuals in connection with a shooting incident that took place in the St. Peter's area on November 24th, 2025. The incident occurred shortly after 18 p.m. when multiple suspects exchanged gunfire. No injuries or fatalities were reported. Following the shooting, detectives immediately opened an investigation and worked to identify those involved. On Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, KPSM officers arrested 2 suspects identified as JIA and JJA. Both individuals were taken to the Philipsburg police station for questioning and remain in custody. The investigation is ongoing as police work to determine the motive and gather more information about the circumstances of the incident. Authorities have not ruled out the possibility of additional arrests. KPSM remains dedicated to protecting public safety and encourages anyone with information about this incident to contact the police department, the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labour Help Desk. Since I've made this post, there have been a lot of positive comments, but also with those positive comments came a lot of inquiries. So for that reason, I wanted to come to the end time and find some of those inquiries. This decision about working from the VSA help desk is about one thing: being closer to the people of Sinuity. I started, discuss with me and see how we can reverse some of the issues that they brought forward. This year, we decided that we wanted to expand that service to the community by spending more time in the community instead of just the usual again.
Since I've made this post, there have been a lot of positive comments, but also with those positive comments came a lot of inquiries. So for that reason, I wanted to come today and clarify some of those inquiries. This decision about working from the VSA help desk is about one thing: being closer to the people of St. Maarten. Last year, I started have a discussion with me and see how we can work out some of the issues that they brought forward. This year, we decided that we wanted to expand that service to the community by spending more time in the community instead of just the one day. Again, in my New Year message, I also indicated this, that we are dedicated to spending more time in the different districts, that we are dedicated in ensuring, giving the population an opportunity to listen to them firsthand what their concerns are, and also to ensure that we can see what are the challenges people of St. Maarten have when it comes to receiving services from the government and also from the private sector. The VSI help desks are located around in different districts in the communities. It is meant to serve as an access point for the public. We have VSI help desk in St. Peter's, Dutch Quarter, Hope Estate, and Coal Bay. Each of these facilities we pay rent for on a monthly basis. And in my opinion, we have not been optimally utilizing these facilities. For that reason, I've decided again, we're already using it, we're already paying for them, so let me optimize the possibilities. The intention there is, again, to get direct contact with the citizens, observe the services that are delivered also from the help desk, and to ensure that problems are addressed more quickly as well. This is about improving the services and making sure that government is more approachable to the people. I always stated and I always believe that the best way to get more engaged with the community is not asking them to come here at the government building, because there are a lot of restrictions, but is actually to go into the districts and allowing them to come and meet us in where they are, in their environment, where we can also see what's going on firsthand. For the continuation of government, I would like to make it clear that we are not moving, the cabinet and myself is not moving completely out of the government building. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will continue regular operation in the government building, also for internal work and also for external services as well. So in no way we are actually hampering, we are actually broadening our scope of reaching to the people of St. Martin and engaging with them. With regard to the situation that is going on pertaining to my cabinet staff and the Prime Minister, I have been informed that there is an investigation. I think all parties welcome the investigation. I've been informed that a request for an investigation is already on the way. I am now also awaiting that results for this investigation that we can move on. I would like the people of St. Martin to know that despite what is going on, I remain focused. I remain dedicated to serving the people of St. Martin and ensure that I do it in a responsible and with integrity to ensure that all the issues that we have, and we have so much issues, that we can try to address them as much as possible to ensure that we can help to improve the quality of life for the people of St. Martin.
Sir, you mentioned that regarding the position of your chief of staff, that there's an investigation underway. So is the chief of staff, as been reported, still prohibited from entering the government building? What is the investigation about, and who's conducting that investigation?
Yes, at this present moment, the chief of staff is still not permitted to enter in any government buildings. With regard to who's conducting the investigation, I am not sure who's doing that. I am not privy to that information. What I was informed is that both parties did welcome an investigation and that the competent authority would request it. So I don't know how far that is. That's also an inquiry for me as well, because I would want that chapter to be closed as soon as possible and clarity to be made to the situation as well.
Sorry, just for clarity, you said not prohibited, not allowed in any government buildings.
Correct.
So not only this building, but all government
Correct.
offices. Okay, thank you.
And also just to make it clear as well, even with us moving to the different districts to the help desk, my chief of staff will honor that order that was given. So it's not that we're going to be breaching anything. We're going to remain within the legal framework.
Minister, you mentioned just now when my colleague asked you about the ban from entering this building. Is the chief of staff allowed to enter the community centers that are also government building, whether or not it's leased or owned by government? It's a government institution. Can the chief of staff enter those community centers where you're working? And how is the ban affecting the work of the ministry? Is the person allowed to be on the platform so that they can work from home? How is it affecting your work actually?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Pertaining to the first question, is the person allowed to be at the help desk? No, they're not. My chief of staff is not allowed to come and work at the help desk. And that's also not the intention. That was never the intention. We're going to abide by the order that was given, the instructions that was given to her. With regard to how not having a chief of staff affects my the works that to be carried out, it has a drastic effect. You're not talking about just someone in a cabinet as a driver, what's not. You're talking about your chief of staff, the person that has the helicopter view, that your confidant. So it has taken a real toll on the ministry and also with the execution of my responsibilities. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, the work continues. We are making the best out of the situation, especially with regard as well. She still continues to work, but it's a different dynamic now as well. We are still committed to executing our task. And that's one of the reasons why, even though some people may say moving now to VSI help desk is bad timing. We have been a ministry that have planned our steps way ahead, and we're just executing plans that we already had, and we're going to continue to do so.
Minister of Tourism, Grisha Heiliger Martin, 2026 will be a year defined by Forward by Design. This represents a deliberate shift, from reacting to circumstances to intentionally shaping our future. Followed by Design means building smarter systems, using data to guide decisions, and designing policies and legislation that deliver main results, endured beyond election cycles, and remain grounded in financial realities.
For the Ministry of TIAT, 2026 will be a year defined by Forward by Design. This represents a deliberate shift from reacting to circumstances to intentionally shaping our future. Forward by Design means building smarter systems, using data to guide decisions, and designing policies and legislations that deliver real results, endured beyond election cycles, and remain grounded in financial realities. At its core, Forward by Design is about stronger execution, higher accountability, better service and delivery, a more competitive business climate, new and diversified tourism products, and improved investment readiness. This is process built with intention, not pressure. It reflects our commitment to sustainable growth, long-term value, and a St. Martin that is planned, prepared, positioned for the future. With that framework in mind, I would like to now walk you through several key developments and initiatives that reflect this approach in action. I begin with an important update on the transportation sector. The Inspectorate of Economic and Transport Affairs, IATA, which I always like to call it, has officially launched the 2026 Passenger Transport Confirmation Letter process. And this year, the process is more structured, more efficient, and supported by stronger oversight. For 2026, we have introduced two distinctive tracks, one for individual bus and taxi holders, and the other for legal entities, including bus companies, touring cars, and unregulated transport operators and car rental services. This distinction allows us to centralize documentation, reduce administrative delays, and significantly improve process efficiently. So a key change this year is the mandatory submission of a crib number for both individual and companies. In addition, proof of 2026 road tax payment is now required before a confirmation letter can be issued. Now, it is important to note that even if the road tax has been paid, operators will not receive their sticker or plate for those that is new, until the confirmation letter application has been completed, reviewed, and approved by IATA. So for companies, all vehicles operating under the same permit plate category must now be submitted in one consolidated application. Separate applications per vehicle will no longer be accepted. This improves regulatory oversight and ensures compliance with the ordinance, Landsverordening Personenvervoer. For individual bus and taxi operators, and the required documentation includes personal and permit details, crib number, 2026 road tax receipt, the valid taxi license, national ID, and vehicle photos. Where an assistant driver is used, a signed declaration confirming the working relationship for 2026 is required. All passenger transport vehicles must also meet basic safety requirements, including a functional fire extinguisher and a fire first aid kit. Vehicles with visible defects may still be referred for reinspection, even with a valid inspection card. Need everyone to be clear on that. The confirmation letter is mandatory and serves as a formal validation that permits, vehicles, and road tax obligations are in order for 2026. Operators who miss the deadline, which is Friday, February 27, 2026, risk operational delays or being marked inactive. Late processing cannot be guaranteed. My message to the operators is simple. Do not wait until last minute. This process is about order, safety, and fairness, and it supports a broader goal of professionalizing and strengthening public transportation in St. Martin. So for assistance, operators may contact the Transport Control Unit, email tiat.trans@stmartingov.org, or contact them via WhatsApp 559-7685. That's 559-7685. Additional information regarding the transport sector cleanup campaign, which we're still working on, will be shared during the course of the month, as we're ensuring that the process is carried out meticulously and lawfully.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Minister Plenipotentiary Gracita Arundel is pleased to announce the compilation and publication of the 2025 Annual Report of the Cabinet Minister Plenipotentiary of Sint Maarten in The Hague. The annual report provides a comprehensive overview of the work carried out by the Cabinet during the 2025 calendar year, outlining how the Cabinet fulfilled its mandate within the Kingdom of the Netherlands and internationally. The year 2025 marked an important chapter for the Cabinet. A primary focus was placed on fostering and strengthening relationships with Sint Maarteners residing in the Netherlands, including students and young professionals. Additionally, Minister Plenipotentiary Arundel continued efforts to strengthen the bridge between Sint Maarten and the wider Kingdom community, while simultaneously expanding Sint Maarten's presence on the international stage. Throughout 2025, the Cabinet engaged proactively with third parties to promote economic growth, constructive diplomacy, and cooperation across several key areas, including educational development. To further strengthen outreach and visibility, a public relations and communications strategy was implemented through the appointment of a communications staff member and the relaunch of the Cabinet's newsletter, Cabinet's Quarterly. Moreover, the introduction of a structured database was initiated as a strategic instrument to enhance communication, outreach, and collaboration, particularly with students and professionals. This tool supports the effective management of both current and prospective initiatives related to education, cultural promotion, employment opportunities in Sint Maarten, and community programs aimed at strengthening the human resource connection between Sint Maarten and its diaspora in the Netherlands. The LB process was fully compiled and validated in December 2025, which is exactly as we had committed to doing by the end of last year. This means that from the Ministry of Justice perspective, we fulfilled our institutional responsibility within that agreed time frame. And I want to be clear about the rules within the LB process. The LB process has several mandatory rules, and not all of these roles actually under the Ministry of Justice. Our responsibility within the ministry is to complete an accurate compilation.
The ministry confirms that all originally established batches under Phase 1 of the LBA process were fully compiled and validated in December 2025, which is exactly as we had committed to doing by the end of last year. This means that from the Ministry of Justice perspective, we've fulfilled our institutional responsibility within that agreed timeframe. And I want to be clear about the roles within the LBA process. The LBA process has several mandatory roles, and not all of these roles fall actually under the Ministry of Justice. Our responsibility within the ministry is to complete the accurate compilation of employment files. That includes the appointments, promotions, any function changes, and also any historical decisions that were made. Because many of these records go back years, this work could not be done digitally, and the staff had to manually cross-check data from multiple legacy HR systems that we have within the Ministry of Justice. That means that it's detailed and very time-consuming work, but that work was completed as we had committed to completing within Q4 of 2025. Once a file is compiled and it's validated, it then moves further through that formal chain, which means it goes to DIV here at the building. Then it also goes to the Ministry of Finance to check the financial components of that. And finally, that file then goes to the governor, who then, of course, would sign off on that LBA. So each file represents a verified employment history, and that's built to ensure the accuracy, fairness, and the legal certainty for that individual employee. I would also like to remind you that the justice workers in this new process are involved earlier in the process before their files are sent through. And this is what we've done in order to try to minimize objections so that individuals aren't surprised when they get that LBA. Then we also talked about an emergence of a new batch that we hadn't foreseen, which we've now called batch 18. And what happened was in December 2025, the ministry and my cabinet, we conducted our own internal review. That review showed that a small number of files were still outstanding, despite earlier reporting to us by the ministry that all eligible employees had received placement letters. These were due to two main reasons from what we've seen. The first is some cases that had not been fully identified or followed up on by the ministry in earlier phases. And the second and more significant one is that our review revealed issues within the function book itself. So this means that some functions that exist in practice within our ministry were removed from the function book, while others were actually assigned incorrect scales that do not reflect the actual duties carried out by that type of function. Because these placement decisions must be based on a formally correct function book, these discrepancies have to be resolved before I can actually place these individuals. This is why I've now enlisted the help of P&O Central here with the Ministry of General Affairs to correct these issues in a structured and lawful manner. And then I want to also be clear that these matters actually came to light to us on December 17th, 2025. So that means that batch 18 consists of employees whose cases are affected by identification gaps, function book discrepancies, or both of those things. It's not a large amount of people. It's less than 20 people. Let's say it's between 10 to 20 people. I don't know the number off the top of my head. But we are, of course, now working on trying to correct these issues. This means that an additional review has to take place, and that work is being handled actually by the different HR departments within the ministry. So each department is looking at those. And that will take several more weeks to complete. And of course, that amendment of those scales that were incorrectly placed in the function book will also need amendment, and we're working closely with P&O Central to try to get that done as quickly as possible.
Willemstad. The government of Curaçao has held consultations with the ABVO labor union to address concerns related to the current situation at the fire department. The meeting took place on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, between Prime Minister Gilmar Pisas, acting in his capacity as Minister of Justice, and representatives of the ABVO. The talks followed an urgent request submitted by the union on Friday, January 16th, seeking discussions with the Ministry of Justice on several issues raised by its members. Due to parliamentary and other official obligations, the Prime Minister had not been able to meet earlier, but did so this week. According to the government, the meeting took place in a constructive and respectful atmosphere, with open dialogue at its core.
Now for the weather forecast. Tonight through Thursday evening, variably cloudy and breezy with scattered showers. Isolated thunderstorms are possible. Surface winds. Tonight through Thursday evening, northeast to east with a gentle to fresh breeze at 12 to 20 mph and occasional gusts. State of the sea. Moderate to rough waves, swells. 5 to 10 feet outlook through Friday evening. Variably cloudy and breezy with scattered showers. And now your 3-day forecast.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurance.
Willemstad, Minister of Finance. Charles Cooper has stated that the government will not step in to financially support insurance companies facing difficulties. Speaking in response to reports circulating on social media and in the local press, Cooper confirmed that he is aware of concerns about the financial situation of certain insurance firms. However, he stressed that the current government has taken a clear position on the matter. According to the minister, no public funds will be used to resolve problems within insurance companies. Regrettably, there are situations and developments causing concern, Cooper indicated, but the government will not intervene or provide financial assistance to any insurance company. The statement signals a firm policy stance by the Ministry of Finance, emphasizing that responsibility for financial stability lies with the insurance sector itself rather than with the government. Cooper did not comment on which companies may be affected, nor on any ongoing regulatory actions, but underscored that this approach reflects the government's broader commitment to fiscal discipline and the responsible use of public funds. Willemstad, the Central Committee of Unions, CCVV, has reflected on a productive year marked by tangible gains for civil servants employed by the government of Curaçao and has outlined its priorities for further strengthening their legal and employment position. Speaking during a press conference on Monday, January 19, 2026, CCVV Chairman Juan Lorenz highlighted several achievements realized over the past year through bipartite consultations with the government. The CCVV represents 5 recognized public sector unions and negotiates on behalf of civil servants with the Minister of Governance, Planning and Public Service on matters related to employment conditions and legal status. According to Lorenz, one of the key accomplishments was the increase in the vacation allowance from 6% to 8%, a measure initiated by the CCVV and already paid out to civil servants. In addition, the CCVV successfully advocated for the introduction of a so-called Bashi premium, to which the government agreed. This premium has since also been dispersed. The CCVV stressed that it remains fully committed to further improving working conditions for civil servants. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says Dominica can successfully balance national development with environmental protection. In response to concerns raised by environmentalists, the government halted all activity at the quarry and implemented several mitigation measures, which are now in effect at the Dubranche quarry.
No longer see mud on the road as we saw before. All right? They have siltation ponds that were designed by the Ministry of the Environment and recommended for inclusion. They also have a buffer zone between the quarry site and the national park, and that has been demarcated. And so a number of measures have been put in place to mitigate against the impact on the environment. But the reality is, we must not place ourselves in a situation where we have to choose between the environment and development.
The Prime Minister says we must not place ourselves in a situation where we must choose between development and the environment.
We have to protect both. Because for us to create jobs for these young people who are looking for new type of jobs that can pay them more than they're getting paid now, and for these hotels to be filled every single time, and for the taxi operator to be dancing at the airport because he's getting so many clients, and for the lady who is a nail tech and putting these eyelashes and all these things, that she get more clients. People, for the tour operators to get more people, for the vendors to sell more, for the rental companies to always have no cars to rent and they're buying more because the demand is growing. We need to have the international airport. There's no question about this.
The Prime Minister says it is now or never for the long-awaited international airport.
My concern with this is that if we do not get this international airport built in this time, it will never be built again. Every government, both pre and post-independence, made the international airport a central pillar to the economic transformation of Dominica. And every government, pre and post-independence, has attempted to build the airport. Some identify lands, some had studies, every one of them, from Frank Barron to Libla, to Patrick John, to Eugenia Charles, to Edison James, to Rosie Douglas, to Pierre Charles, and to myself. I am happy that the Lord has blessed us and we're in a position to see it. And you went there, and we're getting there. And I think that what I would like to see from those who are raising concerns, and I think we have a duty and obligation to listen to them and to decipher emotion from real concern. What I want them to do for me, I said so publicly, that please send me a letter, send me a note, and say, Prime Minister, these are our concerns based on advice, and these are our recommendations, we believe, actions that we can take to mitigate against our concern.
Haiti officially launched its 2026 Carnival season on Sunday, January 18, marking the formal opening of the National Carnival calendar and signaling the start of preparations nationwide ahead of the main festivities. The announcement has reignited debate over whether the country should celebrate amid insecurity and political uncertainty with opinions sharply divided. The Ministry of Culture and Communication, MCC, unveiled this year's theme, Haiti Divan, Haiti Divan, presenting it as a call for collective renewal and forward movement. Organizers describe the theme as a unifying cultural platform that brings together artists, institutions, cultural groups, and the general public. Pre-carnival activities will begin with a pre-parade on February 1st, followed by the main Jacmel Carnival Parade on February 8th. The official Jour Gras, Dimanche Gras, Lundi Gras, and Mardi Gras will take place from February 15th to 17, marking the peak of the pre-Lenten celebrations. These 3 days are public holidays and traditionally attract participants and visitors from across the country. This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.